Hello, and welcome to yet another completely unprofessional unboxing. Scott here, and today I'm going to be opening something special, something I've been waiting for some time now. And apologies to those who voted for me to open the Traveler Starter Set. I do appreciate you chiming in, but this thing happened to arrive right after that poll concluded, and could not wait to open this. This is something that myself and several others have been waiting for some time, if that doesn't, give you an idea of what it might be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open it up, lay it out, and then give a little background as to what it is and why it's something I'm, so excited that it has finally arrived. So, got my trusty Coleman steak knife here, and we are about 8 months with no accidents. And I'll go ahead and give this an open. And by the way, you might hear some clicking or clacking in the background. That is my son Noah, who is playing on his Xbox or PS4. He is off school right now, so he's lounging around doing what teenagers do best, playing video games and ignoring the necessity to eat. Got that there. All right. Ooh. Double boxed. That's a good sign. Double box means it's something important. So make sure there's nothing in there. Move that out of the way. And okay, good. Just making sure there's no personal information on there. Go, and here we are. Now, mind you, several of you who would be interested in this has probably already seen many unboxings already, but here we are with yet another one, and a reason why this is important to me. So yes, it is the Runequest Starter Set, the highly anticipated box set coming from Chaosium in regards to introducing new players into the world of Runequest, Glorantha. And has been kind of, was supposed to come out maybe a month or so ago, rankled some feathers here or there in regards to, when it finally did come out. Still kind of not fully fulfilled as far as in the UK. Unfortunately, didn't seem to have enough inventory there. Ran out rather quickly, but I'm sure they'll take care of it as soon as possible. So, but real quick, just a little bit of history in regards to RuneQuest. I am a newbie to RuneQuest. This is something that has been around for well over 40 years, and it's one of the mini games that may have been popular over in Europe and the UK that a lot of us here in the US either was never introduced to, never saw, or never really got around to trying because, even back in the day, depending on the area that you lived in, it was D&D or die. It was usually difficult to get certain players to try different and new things. RuneQuest was something that we were aware of, but if we did try something new, there was other venues that we went, or other options that we went towards, as opposed to this. So about just over a year ago, I think, was when my interest was piqued. Well, God, almost 2 years now, but Bud from Bud RPG's review does a lot of spotlights on a lot of the older RuneQuest stuff, and it piqued my interest. And so I picked up, the core rule book and went through it and found that the lore, the rich lore involved in it, the history, and within the game itself and just surrounding it. A game doesn't last this long without having history in regards to the creation of it and the maintaining of the popularity of it, aside from the lore involved in the game itself. And it piqued my interest. And after, a certain amount of time of me kind of getting introduced to it, I was lucky enough to be invited to play in a streaming RuneQuest game, which turns out to be my first introduction to RuneQuest. And this game is going to be streamed, and if that wasn't, kind of a little bit, a little bit anxiety causing enough, I had done a couple stream games, but this is a very popular game, and it has rabid fans, and so I would imagine there was going to be spotlight on it. Those involved were also, highly respected people within the world of role playing games. Bud himself from Bud RPG Review, Pookie from Reviews at Relaya, and they was being hosted by James Chambers from his channel, James Chambers of Roleplay. Sorry, that's my daughter in the background. She's off also. And Paul Mitchener, Dr. Mitch, author of most recently of Liminal and several other games, and some other guy. God, what was his name? Seth Skorikowski. Some of you may have heard of him. Don't know. Not important. If you have heard of him, great. But so anyways, and on top of that, knowing nothing of the game, nothing of the lore, I kind of felt like the spotlight was on me. I didn't want to ruin it for others, which I feel is a lot of how a lot of people feel in regards to Runequest. That even though it's an interesting game, it's a wonderful setting, it can be a bit hard to get into, as you kind of feel a bit overwhelmed, with not just the popularity of it, but with the history involved in the game. So I, decided to accept, and before getting into the game to play it, I decided to do some homework. But Bud was kind enough to send me I think it was a 10-question quiz on some of the high points of the lore, which I think I did okay on, and familiarizing myself with these certain aspects of the game that sets it aside from other basic role-playing games like Call of Cthulhu and whatnot. Call of Cthulhu I'd already been familiar with, was comfortable with, but still, it was still a bit anxiety-inducing to a degree. Come to find out, though, that not only was I, relatively new to the game, so was Seth. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was James's first time also. So after playing through the scenario that comes with the other not starter set but quick start rules, absolutely enamored with the game. Just the setting, the aspects of passions and the involvement of the gods, and these weren't things that were just these distant beings and ideas that kind of revolved around the world. They were directly involved with the world, as were the people living within it, and started picking up other books, other bits of history about the Runequest, getting more and more involved, and finding myself completely immersed in it. But not to the point of, someone who's been playing for 40 years, but the edge of, the kind of the edge of the anxiety of, like, how am I going to operate within this? There's so many people that know so much more than I do. They're going to laugh at you. But still, as much as I eventually, came around to it, it's still considered to be a game that doesn't really have an easy entry point. The core rulebook itself is an immense tome. The 40 years of history, if you go back and look for these things, there likewise could be either an immense amount of lore, if you're looking at some of the guidebooks and the source books, or there's so many different ones to choose from that you really don't know where to start. And it can be intimidating. So, what comes to this now is, and I think this is something that they're aware of. I mean, and have been aware of for a long time. It is also kind of a running joke, very similar to like Tekkamel and Empire of the Petal Throne. Only scholars and people who still have eyes good enough to read, 2-point type font, enjoy going back and delving through the dense amount of information that exists for it. Not necessarily true, but still it is a stereotype. So this eventually came out, or actually was announced. And when it was announced, a lot of the Glorantha rejoiced, so to speak. There is now something that they could refer to for people to, if they wanted to actually dive into RuneQuest. The quick start was great, but still jumping from the quick start to something else was a giant chasm. This is by far, and I haven't even opened it yet, but I've had the PDFs and I have looked at it and followed it from its original announcement. I think not only is this by far probably the absolute perfect introduction to ease those who are anxious about diving into RuneQuest, but also, in my honest opinion, is probably going to be, at least for some time now, the absolute perfect starter set that comes in a box. I'm biased, of course, but and there are several wonderful starter sets out there, but this is going to set a new high as far as what it provides, and likewise the ability to open up accessibility towards something like RuneQuest and Glorantha that so many people may have avoided just because they were scared of the amount of information that stood before them. So, yeah, so that's it. That's kind of my prattling long form, in a nutshell, so to speak, version of my introduction to RuneQuest, my bit of history with it, and what has led me eventually to the purchase, and also the purchase of the starter set, and also my immense support in regards to it. So let's go ahead and open it up, take a quick look at it. I'm sure, like I said, some of you have already seen these, but it's my first time with it, so that's probably the whole point of why I'm doing it. All right, so here we go. Let's see if I can just make a tear point there. And it is heavy. Those of you who have purchased box sets or starter sets know that sometimes you pick them up and you're surprised at how empty or weightless they feel. There we go. Open this up. All right. Set that aside, and then we have an introduction of a Read Me First. What's in the box, which includes a set of rules, the world of Glorantha, a solo quest to introduce you to the game, which tends to be the norm for a lot of things from Chaosium, it seems, which is a great way to, whether you're a player or going to be a game master, to get comfortable and introduce yourself to it. A set of adventures. Ready-made adventurers, 14 of them, which is crazy, but considering the amount of options you have in a normal RuneQuest game, you kind of need that many, rather than just like your standard 4 or 5 to give you a good round idea of what the possibilities are of who you can play within Glorantha. Some blank adventure sheets, handouts, map of the Johnstown area, a map of Johnstown itself, map of the Rainbow Mounds, and a set of dice. Okay. And then some more information on the back. Want more? There's the core rulebook, RuneQuest Role-Playing in Glorantha. Explore it all with the Guide to Glorantha. Dive into Glorantha with the source book. And then there's the Bestiary and the Game Master's Pack, which, similar to this, provides well more than expected. If you're going to get into Glorantha and you're not familiar with or not sure what to buy, aside from the core rulebook, the Game Master's Pack is going to give you an abundance of information that you'll be able to utilize, well beyond what some other Game Master Pack provides, which is, generally speaking, just some sort of GM screen and maybe an adventure. Okay. And we have book 1, the rules. I mean, and immediately, just the artwork. The artwork alone, captivating, immersive. And I think you're going to see that throughout the book, or the books, I should say. And I'm not going to go too in-depth into what's within here because I want you to buy it and find out for yourself. An example of play, we have ability results tables, and as we're kind of flipping through it, and once again, the not just the lore of Glorantha, but the rules themselves can be a little bit intimidating, just because when you glance at the character sheet, there's quite a bit to it. And but know that it is divided up, and the information is divided up and categorized so that it's easy to access. And after you've kind of played through it one time, you kind of know that not all of these things are going to be utilized at once. This information is it's necessary to enjoy the game and what it provides, but it's not something that you need to concern yourself with constantly as far as maintaining and monitoring it. And a decent GM will be able to guide you through that as necessary. So as you can see, as far as starter set rules are concerned, wonderful piece of art. This is going to do a good job at guiding you through it, holding your hand per se, to kind of make you feel as comfortable as they can with examples and tables that are clear and concise with this wonderful layout that they have here. Similar information. There are hit locations within the game of Runequest that people need to be familiar with, and what happens if something actually occurs with them, the armor that's protecting them, and so on. And then here's a wonderful adventure sheet overview, which is great. Even if there weren't pre-gens, having a sheet overview of your character sheet is also helpful, because sometimes it's not very clear as to what some of the things pertain to on certain character sheets. Information regarding magic and the different types and styles of magic. We got the different spells and rune magic and the runes that pertain to them. Spirit information regarding the spirit world. Now, as mentioned, I am not a scholar of Glorantha, so there a lot of this information here, as far as the basics are concerned, I'm familiar with, but I am not one who can comment too much onto the lore aspect. I mean, Orlanth. I mean, that's the god I'm most familiar with within the game. There's several others and whatnot, but I'm learning, and I'm willing to learn, and I've come to the acceptance now. I don't need to know it all. It will come to what you need will be provided to you as you play, and that's how I think it should be. That's how I think it should be expected in all games. Don't never be intimidated by a gigantic game, because you can compartmentalize it and just know that like any good story, it's going to reveal itself as you go along. You don't have to be a scholar of Glorantha to enjoy the world itself. Okay, and you'll notice that one of the things that's pointed out when it was announced, that the back of each book, when they are combined together, is going to make a beautiful map, in addition to the other maps that you have, which is a wonderful thing. And also it makes it a little bit easy to use, because one of the hardest things about having maps is sometimes you have limited space, and dividing it up as such makes it somewhat easier, especially if you're just focusing in a particular region. Move that aside. Okay, and here's the meat of the setting, the world of Glorantha. Okay, I mean, still just absolutely fabulous artwork in here. Yes, and once again, for those not familiar with it, Glorantha is a Bronze Age setting. Okay, and they've got just a discussion of the various runes that are central to everybody within the game, not just the player characters, but all people within the world of Glorantha. Unique aspects of Glorantha, things that are unique to the world itself, heroes and hero questing, ideals like kinship and community, ideals and motivations, advancement, passage of time, which is also an important aspect of the game, you will find out once you start playing within it. And then things such as the world. Let me move that dice. It's catching on here. Okay. And yes, Glorantha is not even though it takes place in the Bronze Age, this is a world that exists to be fantastic and fantasy driven and just not, I mean, similar to our world, but different to the point of, you are aware that you're existing in a fantasy world, not just with the people you're surrounded with, but the world itself. Okay, another wonderful map of northern Sartar. Okay, we get to the myth and history, which they squeezed into 1, 2, 3 pages to a certain degree, which is, in my opinion, is what most people just need to know. You don't need to go out and buy a $160, 2-volume, 1,000-page book to familiarize yourself with it. You just need someone who knows the history well enough to kind of hit the key points of that. And there's my dog. Okay, the city of Johnstown, which is a settlement that is focused upon in all aspects of RuneQuest, I believe, located in another area that is also a central focus called Dragon Pass. So there's going to be a history of it in regards to northern Sartar, the city of Johnstown, population. Beautiful map of Johnstown here. I'll turn it around here. Key locations within it, but just stunning. And I'm a map freak, so I can sit and stare at maps forever and just become immersed in them themselves, just visualizing what's going on within them. So politics within the world, or within Johnstown, I believe, powerful people within the government to help your GM bring it to life. And as you can see, there's definitely evokes, just with the drawings here, even if you weren't aware it was a bronze setting, that at this point it's definitely alluding to it and giving you the idea of the type of world that you're existing in. Okay. And apologize again, it's our house is a bit busy today with everyone out for the holiday. And then we have here is a map of the upper city. It seems to break down the different locations, which is fantastic, so it goes more in depth. And then we have the merchants' quarters, going on to the crafters' quarter, and then other just general NPCs of Johnstown. The people here that exist: typical resident, typical citizen, merchants, and so on. Simplified. I mean, we don't need 36 types. Just wonderful little examples, and then a simplified information of what exists outside of Johnstown, and another area map. And there we go. So these, I mean, adventure seeds are just bits of information to kind of help immerse your players in Glorantha. Okay, next one here, we've got the solo quest. I'll just do a quick flip through of this, but yes, it does deal with Vasana. Vasana is a reoccurring character in several aspects of the modern version of RuneQuest and Glorantha. She's one of your options to play within the quick start. She also comes back again, if I'm not mistaken, within the core rulebook, and also in the Game Master screen and pack. So, and this is going to be dealing with the Battle of Dangerford, which I believe is one of the things when you create your character in RuneQuest, you have the option of creating their past history, and one of those things is determining either your family's involvement in this particular battle or your character's involvement. Okay, and similar format, kind of like a choose your own adventure, but you're going to be rolling dice and utilizing the character sheet provided. But it's a wonderful way to learn about the world and how it works. to give you a better foothold and foundation when you start playing or running the game yourself. Okay. Book of Adventures, which is just, you know, chock full and thick. Oh, apologies. We got the dogs barking here. So we got an introduction, and we've got we've got 4 adventures: a rough landing, a fire in the darkness, the Rainbow Mounds, and then further adventures here. We'll just do a quick flip through because I imagine this is running long, and I don't know how many more times I'm going to be interrupted or barked at by the dogs. So more wonderful artwork. We've got an example of one of the monsters that you might find in Glorantha, Scorpion Man, information regarding rewards and consequences, and so on. So I'm just going to kind of just do a quick flip through of this. Rock lizards, something that a map of the Rainbow Mounds, but the rock lizard is something that is a creature that you might see quite often roaming around Dragon Pass or Sartar. Wonderful example of a troll. And I think we'll just kind of skip to the end on that. So, and then we've got the 4th aspect of the map to form together. And then we have here, we've got Molon, which is Vasana's bison. And so this is the pre-generated character sheet for Vasana. And you'll see that these character sheets are similar to if you're familiar with the starter set for Warhammer. So they have this this wonderful fold out bits of information. Every part of the paper is utilized and cornered off to kind of make the information more easily accessible and not all cluttered in over several different sheets. And so we've got the general stats, information, magic, background information, and suggestions on how to play, her runes and elemental and power affinities, and then a wonderful caricature on the back, and also including their mounts. And mounts are important within the game of RuneQuest, I've come to find out, and a lot of people have mounts associated with their background. So we have that, and we have we've got Yanioth. Here we are with a earth elemental that she's able to conjure. We have Harmast with his riding zebra. And we have Vishy Dune, or Dun, with his cousin monkey, a baboon. Baboons exist within the game, and they are a lot more sentient than the baboons of our world. And then we have Vostor, and a fire elemental that he is able to conjure forth. And we have Sorala with some sort of newt, I believe. I don't know, I'd have to read the information on that. But then we also have Natham, son of Nain, along with Rurik, his shadow cat companion. And you'll see as I'm flipping through this that a lot of the, you'll see that the different player characters are going to change in their appearance and their clothing, and that's indicative of the setting. Is there's no kind of general centralized, fantasy thing where everyone's wearing leathers and boots and wizards are wearing robes and whatnot, but there's a lot of diversity in look and appearance depending on where you are within the world of Glorantha. We have here Arnada and his riding horse. And then we have Dazarim and their sable antelope mount. And then we have here Ayanara with her riding horse. And flip this over. We have Mago the Fierce, who stands alone. My God, there's so many. We have Macarios and their snake. And we have Nara's Rune Painter with their tattoo implements. And tattoos are another central focus within the game. Most everyone has several different rune affiliations tattooed within their body. That I believe helps them focus their energies and connect them to their gods. And then we have Varakos, Wolf Killer, with his wolf pelt cloak. And then we're going to have a couple blank ones here to create your own. There we go. I'm just curious if this actually includes everything that would come with the standard character sheet. The standard character sheet could be anywhere from 4 to, I believe, 6 pages long, depending on how far in their background you decide to go when you create them. And likewise, there's within the game, your reputation is something that is tracked and added to and taken away depending on what you do within the game. And I don't know how well this is going to show on here, but it's a bigger map of northern Sartar. And I'm sure that doesn't sound like I'm pronouncing it right, Sartar. I think I'm enunciating the wrong one, but I don't care. Beautiful map. Beautiful map. This is something where I would love this in a cloth aspect. I would put this up on the wall. And then we have the Rainbow Mounds, which goes with one of the adventures. And double-sided, which I think one side is for the GM possibly, and the other side is for the players. Okay. And wait, let me just check. Is this double-sided? I believe it is. And, yeah, like I said, yeah, here we are. So here's a bigger map of Johnstown. Just jam-packed. They took advantage of every square foot within this game to pack in their information. So here we go. We have cheat sheets, reference information, which is fantastic, and this can carry over into a game outside of the starter set. And yes, you do need them. There's going to be several things you're going to be referring to, and even for some of the people that I've played with since my original introduction to RuneQuest, still refer to these all the time. It's no different than in any other role-playing game. No one knows every single rule, every single aspect of the game. And if they do, well, I don't know, they might be lying, but whatever. Then we have the description of the different Gloranthan runes: darkness, water, earth, fire/sky, air, and moon, and the different powers of harmony, disorder, stasis, movement, truth, illusion, fertility, and death. And this is something that I'm glad that they put in, because another thing that some people struggle with to a certain degree, if I can get this out, static cling. Ooh, it's cardboard too, or thicker paper cardboard. So strike rank tracker within the game itself. Your initiative is indicated by your different strike rank, and what increases it or decreases it. And so it's not a difficult concept. It's just essentially trying to keep track of what it actually is when it's your turn. What is adding to it, what might be taken away from it. And it's nice to have a nice reference sheet that you can also use. You put little tokens or chits on here to represent each one of your players, and just a wonderful thing that's going to set perfectly to the side if you're playing, or you can make copies of it and just hand out to your players. And then finally we have a bit of information on the back here. So what is this? The Chaosium. The Chaosium exists deep underneath the bottom of the lowest underworld. It is the fount of chaos and spews forth our collective unconscious, fantasies and monstrosities alike into our world. Artists, lunatics, and gamers are all inspired by its restless dreams. The Chaosium speaks to us. We are all us. You must cut the dragon head off yourself. Take it with your left hand and make it part of you. You must slay the dragon and wield its power. Blah, 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 Cthulhu, really, Fatagan. Yeah, no, I'm not going to, nope, not going to try that. The Chaosium lets us dream the dreams of dead gods and construct the universe out of its essential runes. It lets us travel along the Lightbringer's quest to revive the murdered sun, or walk the non-Euclidean pathways of Relea's Nightmare Corpse City. In this mundane and gray world, the Chaosium brings your untamed imagination to life through role-playing games, books, board and card games, comics, and more. Guard yourself with the Elder Sign and fortify yourself with rune magic. It is time to begin your adventure. Wonderful. That is wonderful. Okay. And then, of course, there's the back of the box with a description and a little bit of extra artwork on here. So, now, as with any starter set or any box set, that kind of adds to anyone's review is how wonderful everything might go back in. Some do, some don't. So we'll just see if we can fit all of these back in. And it looks like it just might all fit perfectly. And I'm going to leave the dice out. And there we are. Nice and tight. So, Runequest Starter Set. I know this was probably a bit long-winded. Some of them tend to be that way, but this is something that I wanted to touch upon. And I don't know if it adds anything to the abundance of videos and reviews and whatnot that already exists out there, but it's something that I wanted to just focus on myself and just kind of add to the appreciation of what this provides. That's going to allow not only other people, but even myself to enjoy and understand and live and breathe within the world of Glorantha, utilizing this fantastic starter set, and hopefully allow me to provide access and entry point for others that might be interested in playing with it. So there we go. So thank you once again for joining me in yet another unprofessional unboxing. Like I said, hopefully I didn't prattle on too much, but we will see you next time when I actually get to the Traveler starter set that some of you had asked for me to open and go through in depth. So I hope you have a wonderful day and the rest of your week goes well for you. And for those in the U.S., hope you're looking forward to some good times with your family during Thanksgiving. And we will see you all real soon. Take care.